What are the lessons from the successful emerging economies? As it can be observed, even within the emerging economies, there is a disparity with regard to their economic performance. To the same extent, it is convenient to point out the variables that will foster the progress of the Asian region, since their economic annual growth is estimated in almost 5%. From now until 2020, these are some examples. Increased saving and investment levels, greater opinions and insertion into globalization, higher productivity and competitiveness, increasing levels of education and work training, considerable investment in science, technology, and innovation, targeted development of information and communication technologies, regulatory and institutional reforms. In consequence, we can conclude that the successful emerging economies are those that have better modified the incentives structure of their markets in order to orient them towards the creation of wealth. Also, remarkable is the significant work of their governments in the following. First, promote competitiveness in their different markets. Second, foster higher market flexibility in order to obtain a more efficient allocation of resources. And third, apply public policies that direct public resources towards activities with the highest social profitability. Education and investment in infrastructure. Those are the two main issues that sincerely have increased the competitiveness of these emerging economies. In the near future, Asia decision makers will also have to incorporate into their list of growth mechanisms policies that address and satisfy the growing inequality in income distribution and environmental deterioration. Among all this, in this scenario, I would like to, thank you, Julio, to give you some lines of what is going on in Mexico. How's Mexico today? According to the International Business Report, Emerging Markets Index, Mexico appears in fourth place after China, India, and Russia. Out of these four emerging countries, Mexico's per capita gross domestic product is below Russia, but above China and India. According to this report, Mexico's current position should not be a surprise. Its economy has had an unprecedented stability for the last 8 years, and inflation has been stable and continues to fall. Furthermore, Mexico has 12 free trade agreements with 43 countries, also benefits from well-qualified labor, together with powerful manufacturing and assembly industry, as well as an enviable proximity to the U.S. market. As a result, for instance, foreign direct investment in our country amounted to $37 billion in 2007, almost doubling the sum of what was received in 2006, thus placing our country as the main recipient of foreign direct investment in Latin America. Mexico is the largest exporter of Latin America and the 16th worldwide. Last year, our country exported goods that added up to the $272 billion, 9% more than in 2006, in contrast with the export from Brazil that total $159 billion. However, despite these positive arguments, the truth is that Mexico will only contribute with 1.5% of the global economic growth in the period 2008-2020, according to forecasters. From now on to that year, it is estimated that our gross domestic product will only increase 2.9% per year, below the 3.5% of the global gross domestic product. Even more serious is that Mexico per capita income will only rise 1.8 yearly, whilst the global per capita gross domestic product will grow 2.5. This is unacceptable, especially taking into account that 47% of the Mexican population lives in poverty, unfortunately. How we are enhancing Mexico's future? No nation should remain passive before the changes and transformations of the environment, particularly if global trends are not favorable in the short term. Therefore, from now on, we have to be able to imagine, plan, and make a better future of Mexico. I am convinced that prospective overviews have two important functions. One, to anticipate adverse scenarios and take timely measures to avoid them. And second, to design favorable scenarios and outline public policies to attain them. In the case of Mexico, it is clear that the described scenario is not very encouraging. Consequently, the first step we need to take is to reflect on and define with clarity what kind of country we want. Rather than making up a nation, we must start from what Mexico already is, from the resources it has and from those it can generate, if appropriate actions are taken. The objective is to establish public policies that go beyond the traditional six-year presidential term, thus avoiding the every 6 years at the change of administration. Bureaucracies and cabinets start again from scratch and lose valuable time redefining strategic plans and programs. Mexico requires a true national agreement for its development, an agreement that does not depend on the political affiliation or the composition of the political forces of its Congress, but on the establishment of very clear and accurate objectives shared by everyone. Personally, I consider that the core priority of the country is to become a more fair and equitable nation, where poverty may be reduced drastically upon the productive incorporation of our most important asset, our population. This social transition might be the key behind the success of nations like China, and best of all, it is feasible in our case. In Mexico, we are undergoing a demographic transition which, if tapped adequately, will positively impact in our goals of economic growth and development. The base of the population pyramid is declining every day. This means that a higher number of Mexicans is ready to enter the labor market, thus increasing domestic savings and investment levels. This window of opportunity, also known as demographic bonus, will remain temporarily open in Mexico for the first and only time from 2012 to 2033. Its basic feature will be an abundant offer of labor. The scenarios indicate that a steady annual 4.6 growth rate of the gross domestic product will be required so that the number of formal, productive, and well-remunerated jobs with benefits may absorb almost 85% of the economically active population in 2030. It is important to highlight that the economically active population of the country will rise from 45 million in this year to 47 in 2010 to 60 million in 2030 and up to 61 million in 2050, thus reaching its all-time high 61.9 million in 2042. From these figures, that implied the need of creating up to 955,000 jobs per year arises a second national priority, the recovery of sustained economic growth. Mexico needs a new national strategy of accelerated and shared growth that made up the upturn of the tertiary sector of the economy and our openness to international trade.